Let's dive right in, shall we? Redundancy in Ireland. Seems like a tricky topic, but you've clearly been doing your homework.
Absolutely.
Guides, calculators, the whole shebang.
Yeah, preparation is key, and it sounds like you're off to a great start.
Well, let's make sure you're totally prepped for whatever comes next.
I like it.
So you've included this visual guide, right?
Mhm.
Understanding Redundancy in Ireland. Calls itself the ultimate cheat sheet.
Straight to the point.
I like it. And it starts with the basics, thankfully. What exactly is redundancy?
You know, it's interesting, right? So many people think redundancy means they did something wrong.
Right, like it's a reflection on them.
Exactly. But this guide, it gets it right off the bat. It's about the job becoming obsolete.
Okay.
So maybe the company's restructuring, downsizing, or, new tech comes in and changes the game. Yeah.
The important thing is it's not personal, it's just business.
Okay, so it's the job, not you.
Exactly.
That's a good starting point for sure.
Yeah.
Now, this guide also mentions two types of redundancy:
Okay.
voluntary and compulsory.
Right.
What's the difference, and why does it even matter?
Good question. So think of voluntary redundancy as an option.
Okay.
Like the company saying, hey, anyone thinking of moving on now might be a good time.
Right.
Often comes with a nice little package, too, to sweeten the deal.
Incentive, yeah.
Exactly. Now, compulsory redundancy, that's a different story.
Okay.
That's when the company decides, okay, this role, it's got to go.
Right.
But, and this is crucial, whether it's voluntary or compulsory
Yeah.
Irish employment law, it's there to protect you.
Okay, so it's like a safety net no matter what. Precisely.
That's definitely good to know.
You have rights, and this guide, it lays them out really well.
It does. Okay, it lists 6 key employee rights during redundancy.
Your redundancy toolkit, think of it like that.
I like it. Okay, so let's imagine, right?
Mhm.
You're facing redundancy. Possibly.
Yeah.
This guide says you have the right to fair selection.
Absolutely. So that means the company can't just pick and choose who stays and who goes based on, who they like better.
Oh, so no favoritism.
None.
Yeah.
Everything has to be transparent, objective, by the book.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's about fairness, ultimately.
Absolutely. Okay, what about this consultation right?
Oh, that's a big one.
What does that even look like in real life?
Basically, your employer has to talk to you. They can't leave you in the dark about what's happening. They need to explain why the redundancy is happening.
Gotcha.
Give you a chance to ask questions, even negotiate potentially.
So it's like a two-way street.
Exactly. They have to consult with you, not just spring it on you.
That's reassuring.
It should be. Like they say, knowledge is power. Right.
For sure. Speaking of power, let's talk about, well, the power of the purse.
Ah, the financial side of things.
Exactly. You smartly included a calculator for statutory redundancy payments.
I did. Because let's be real, that's a huge part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you're getting what you're owed right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So statutory redundancy payments, that's like a legal right.
Exactly. Like a safety net while you figure out your next move.
I like that, a safety net.
But there are conditions, of course. 2 years is the magic number.
2 years.
2 years with the company, at least.
Okay, got it.
If you've been there that long, you're entitled to this statutory payment.
And to figure that out, we use this handy calculator you provided.
That's the one. But don't worry, it's not as daunting as it looks.
Okay, good to know. But how does it actually work? What's the magic formula?
Well, it's not exactly magic, but it does consider a few key things.
Yeah.
Your age, how long you've been with the company, and your weekly pay.
So someone with more years under their belt, they might get a bit more.
Exactly. Makes sense, right? Experience counts for something.
Absolutely. But I noticed something interesting.
Okay.
There's a cap on the weekly pay it uses. 600 to be exact.
That's right. So even if you were earning more, the calculator uses that 600 as the maximum.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got our statutory redundancy, our safety net.
Right.
But then you included this other document, ex-gratia payments.
Ah, yes. This is where things get interesting.
It does mention something called the SCSB method.
It does indeed. And that, my friend, is like a secret weapon when it comes to redundancy packages.
A secret weapon. Okay, I'm intrigued. But first, back up a bit.
Of course.
Ex-gratia payments.
Yeah.
These aren't mandatory like the statutory ones, right?
You're spot on. Those are completely up to the employer.
Okay, so it's like a bonus if you get one.
Exactly. A goodwill gesture, you could say.
Right, okay. But back to this SCSB method.
Absolutely. Now, this is important, especially if you're looking at a larger lump sum.
Okay.
The SCSB, it helps you maximize how much of that you can get completely tax-free.
No taxes. Okay, that's definitely something to pay attention to.
It is. And this document you have, it gives a great case study with Sarah.
It does.
Shows exactly how this method works.
You mind breaking that down for me?
Not at all. So Sarah's situation, it shows how this SCSB can really work in your favor. Basically, it uses things like your age and how long you've worked to figure out if you can get a bigger tax-free chunk than usual.
And in Sarah's case, it worked out pretty well.
It did. She was able to keep a lot more of her redundancy package.
That's amazing. Sounds like this SCSB thing is worth looking into.
Absolutely. But I'd say if you're dealing with larger sums, it's always a good idea to chat with a tax advisor.
So they can make sure you're maximizing everything.
Exactly. Don't leave any money on the table, right?
Right. It's like having a financial co-pilot to guide you through all the paperwork.
Exactly. They can make sure you're not missing any potential benefits.
Makes sense. So we've covered the legal side, the financial side, but,
What's next?
there's a human element to all of this too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. This is about more than just numbers on a page.
Exactly. And that's where I think those other resources you included really come in handy.
Yeah, you've got all that covered. You've thought of everything.
Well, I try. But let's dig into that a bit more, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
It's easy to get caught up in the financial side of things, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But you were smart. You included resources that go beyond just the money.
Well, redundancy, it's a life transition, isn't it?
That's a good way to put it.
It's about your well-being, your career, your future. It's about more than just, okay, how much money am I getting?
Exactly, because losing a job, it's not just a paycheck.
Right.
It's your routine, your sense of purpose.
It's your identity, even.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of support are we talking about here?
Well, this guide, it mentions job seekers' benefit and allowance,
Right, I saw that.
which are crucial, obviously.
Yeah, got to keep a roof overhead.
Exactly. But you've also got this guide to grants in Ireland. Now, that's interesting.
Ooh, yeah. I highlighted a section in there.
You did on education grants.
Are we talking free courses here? Because that would be amazing.
We are. Springboard. Ever heard of it?
It rings a bell, vaguely.
It's fantastic. Free and subsidized courses.
Yeah.
Specifically designed to give you those in-demand skills.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Turning a setback into like a skill-building opportunity. So what kind of fields are we talking? Give me some examples.
Think ICT, advanced manufacturing, financial services.
Okay, so like future-proof stuff.
Exactly. Fields that are booming, constantly evolving.
So let's say our listener's thinking, okay, Springboard sounds perfect. What's the next step?
Well, luckily, this guide you have gives you the website.
Even better.
You can see all the courses, the eligibility criteria, everything.
It's so helpful.
Knowledge is power, right?
Always. So it's like having this roadmap for your career transition.
There you go.
Okay, so to recap this whole redundancy journey so far,
Let's do it.
you're on top of your rights,
Check.
you're figuring out the finances,
Check.
and now you're exploring these resources to support you, both professionally and personally.
That's what it's all about.
I'd say this deep dive is going pretty well,
So far, so good.
but we're not done yet, are we? There's always more to uncover.
Oh, there's always something lurking around the corner.
Well, let's get to uncovering then, shall we?
Let's do it.
It's interesting. We were just talking about these extra resources, right?
Yeah, going beyond just the financial stuff.
And it made me think of that article you included,
Which one?
the one about recent trends and developments in the Irish job market.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's an important one.
Because it's not just about bouncing back from redundancy, it's about bouncing back strategically.
100%. The job market, it's always changing, isn't it?
Constantly. So what I'm getting at is how can our listener use this information to their advantage?
That's the €1,000,000 question, isn't it? Well, for starters, that article highlights some key growth areas, right?
It does, yeah.
So let's say you're looking at those Springboard courses.
Yeah.
Maybe you can align your skills or even your interests with those up-and-coming fields.
So it's like future-proofing your career, in a way.
Exactly. You're not just getting back on the horse, you're picking a horse that's heading in the right direction.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly. Redundancy, it can be a bump in the road, sure, but it can also be an opportunity to reassess, to pivot, to reinvent yourself even.
And with these resources, this guy, the calculator, that article,
And your own determination, of course.
of course, you're not just equipped to handle redundancy, you're equipped to come out the other side even stronger.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You've got this.
Absolutely. And that, my friend, is a wrap on this deep dive.
A deep dive indeed.
We covered a lot of ground, but you know what? I think we did all right.
We did more than all right. And remember, this is just the beginning. take this information, use it, and go make things happen.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. You've got this.
You've got this.